I believe we're live. Check 1 and 2. Just checking up. It does appear that we're live. Okay. Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome along. Sorry for the delay. We are here in qualifying for the 2023 ARC F1 Chinese GP. Following along now with Jonathan Gergensmeyer on his outlap. Sorry for the delay. Had a little bit of technical difficulties. Alright, looks like we are back underway here for the 2023 ARC F1 Chinese GP. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Had to work out a bit of things with the stream, but it looks like we are up and running at the moment. Might be joined in a second here by Adam Pelk. Following along once again with Jonathan Gergensmeyer as he looks to lay down his first lap. Anyway, welcome along, folks. Good evening. Welcome to the Shanghai International Circuit, where some of ARC's finest drivers are ready to battle that out in one of the most exhilarating events on the sporting calendar, the 2023 ARC Formula 1 Chinese Grand Prix. This event is the 1000th event in the history of ARC. Just want to give a shout out there, of course. Following along with Jonathan Gergensmeyer now, as he looks to put in the first time, he does a 133.3. Jonathan Gergensmeyer is having himself a quietly nice season so far. Finds himself P2 in in the Drivers' Champions, sorry. He's also P2 in Constructors with the Haas team. Really putting in great laps. Just time and again throughout every GP so far this season. However, he does get pipped for provisional pole by Beat That Bear with a 132.6. Racing in reserve in the Alpine tonight. We see Beat That Bear probably be looking to stay in the top 3 as far as qualifying goes. Down the timing board so far, we do have Beat That Bear on provisional pole with a 132.6.9. Liam Carey, a reserve driver showing up for another GP tonight, currently setting P2 with the 132.7. Matt Daly, of course, in the Aston Martin with the 133.1 and P3, Fabian Green, 133.2 setting P4. Jonathan Gergensmeyer ducking back into the pit with a 133.3 on his first time. few lap stops, getting P12 with the 139. He'll be looking to improve on his next time out, I'm sure. Pretty knockdown in the final section, looking to put in his first time in the section as well. Ducks into turn one. We are also joined by Mr. Adam Hill. Adam, how are we tonight?
Oh, I wasn't expecting to be here tonight, but always fortunate to be part of the ARC crew today. How are you doing?
We're doing fine, thanks. It's always a pleasant surprise, I'm sure. People that were planning to watch tonight were probably not expecting to hear some of Adam tonight, so pleasant surprise for everybody else as well.
Let me just get to my viewing screen here. Alright, so looks like for qualifying we only got 2 people in the 132s, which is quite surprising because usually that's the normal pace.
Eat That Bear in reserve for the Alpine on provisional pole at the moment, kind of surprising. Liam Carrick, former race winner of this season also, so not too surprising to see him at the top, but, you know, always those people that are sticking their neck out for 1 race, 2 races a season, getting up there is always a surprise to me. Eat That Bear, holding pole down at the moment.
Yeah, Liam Angelo, he is on the sauce right now, so he's looking to take that pole position away. I'm going to pull up his telemetry and see how he is doing. Yeah, he just went purple in Sector 2, so he might be on pace for the fastest lap.
He did, I just saw that as well. Might be seeing something good here tonight. Let's see where he can take that Williams as he crosses the line.
Meanwhile, I'm going to go to Jonathan Jurg, who is right behind Liam Angelo, setting his fast lap on the soft tires as well.
Liam crosses the line on provisional pole, gets other fill-in driver Eat That Bear by about 3/10. Not too bad of a time as we have 7.5 minutes just about left in the session.
Oh, Jake Scarborough just went up to 5th on the board with 133.3.
First time in the session that he's laid down and already up to P5. Pretty promising there for the Haas.
Yeah, with China, you can never anticipate anything. Always on the unpredictable track with its long straights and sharp corners, so we could probably see some unexpected twists in this race. Let's see who is finishing up a lap here. AJ Knickel on his out lap with his soft tires, getting ready for the soft tire run.
Big spin by Luke Allen in the Red Bull. Oh, and he was laying down a real burner of a lap too. He was probably looking about top 8 with that time. Following along with him, and he takes a big spin, holds up into the pits, likely with a little bit of damage and no time to show for it.
And it looks like Eat That Bear in the Alpine back on a flyer here, trying to match or pass Liam Angelo Carrag, so I'll be going on board with him and see if he does. as he goes purple in Sector 1.
Oh, and a
And
big
spin.
spin. Oh, and he's out of the session. He's retired from damage just instantly. Wow, that's how you know it's been a big incident. How terrible. He's going to have to sit on that 132.6 and hope for the best.
Yeah, it looks like he got loose right off the corner, because if you're not careful with steering on this game, it will catch you, and it's not a good sign if that happens. And it looks like Fabian went up to 4th on his last run before he came in for another set of softs.
Fabian with the 133.2. Rather impressive. Exact same time as the Red Bull behind him of Boriyoshi. Don't see that too often. However, it looks like he is not the only McLaren on the grid for the first Grand Prix of the 2023 ARC season.
Yes, we have.
Has a teammate.
Yeah, we have Evidus YT, which I don't know his real name, so sorry if I don't say that, but still, looks like we have a full grid. I don't know if this is the first time that we do have a full grid. This is my first appearance this season, so.
This is the first time we've managed to compile a full grid on such short notice, I will say that. A lot more people than normal raised their hands to fill in than we would have expected. But we move on with it anyway. On goes the night, on goes the race.
Exactly, the more the merrier. Hopefully the iRacing race tonight goes the same way.
Yes, can only hope. It's always fun to see the iRacing. If you do happen to be watching this stream, make sure you pop into the iRacing race every so often once that one starts as well.
Which I'll be making my debut in that tonight, so.
What'll you be driving tonight over there?
Oh yes, I will definitely be driving tonight.
Oh, but what car specifically should we expect to see you in, Adam?
I've actually made a reveal on my livery that my first race will be run. It will be the number 5 Hendrick car Chevrolet.
Oh. Very nice. Wow. That should be a lot of fun then. Make sure anybody who happens to catch this stream tunes in over there as well.
Oh, okay, I saw Fabian was on the flyer, but he is not because his lap is invalidated. Let's go to... Let's see. Oh, here we go. HMS Fan Y 9YT. He's on the flyer. But I think he's off pace, so I don't think he's going to improve.
Following along at the moment with the Alfa Romeo of Jamie Knock, Fred the Red, currently finds himself P19. However, he has qualified in the top 5 of every Grand Prix he's featured in so far this season, so it would be a real shock to see him anywhere outside of like the top 8 or so. To see him P19 at the moment is even a surprise itself, because he's usually very quick.
Well, we'll see what happens, because this is his flyer, and here he comes.
And of course, all the way up to P3 he goes with that. Just needed to get the bad lap out of his system, and back to normal for Jamie Knock, it seems, into the top 3 with a 132.8.
And it looks like Matthew Stotts, aka Spin and Win, went up to 4th with a 133.0. We did not see that.
He did. Very impressive lap from the Ferrari, quietly into P4.
And it looks like he's on his second flyer as he's down the back straight with his DRS. Oh, he doesn't have DRS on. Oh, and Liam Angelo Krog retired from the session. I don't know if he was in pit road or not.
What a situation that has unfolded there with Liam retiring from provisional pole with the 132.3.
And Fred Red has just deliberately retired there.
Jamie Knock also retiring from P3 with the 132.8. Wow, it seems that the only 3 drivers that have managed to get into the 32s thus far have all found their own little bits of trouble that have caused a retirement. It'll be those times that the rest of the drivers of the grid will be chasing.
I think with Liam, he retired in pit road because I think he has enough confidence that he's got the pole position locked up. But we'll see what happens, because I think once he realized that That Bear retired, he knew he probably is going to get the pole. As Jonathan Jerk improves to 4th with a 132.9. Before Yoshi goes up.
Yoshi goes up to 3rd place, probably.
Yep, 3rd place as of right now, as everybody else is crossing the line. Let's go to Matty Fax.
Matt Daly, it looks like, will be next. After, of course, Luke Allen, who is yet to set a time in this session at all. Where can he put himself? Only manages a P19.
And
Matt Daly
finishes.
He does not manage to improve. Stays P7, however. Good starting position for him, given his previous starting positions this season. He'll be happy with that P7.
Ayrton James improves to P14, and the last car is coming across the start-finish line now. As Omicron.
Where can Omicron manage to put themselves?
He does improve, but he does not go any higher, so Liam Angelo Karak on pole.
It will be Liam on pole. Eat That Bear, taking the P2 with the early retirement. Probably did not expect to be able to hold that time. However, nobody did manage to get up there besides poor Yoshi, cracking that top 3 early retirements. So with that, of course, Eat That Bear, provisional P2, poor Yoshi, starting the grid P3. Jamie Knock, Fred the Red in P4, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer P5, Matthew Stotts P6, Matthew Daly P7, Andrew Davis P8, and Fabian P9. Jake Scarborough rounds out the top 10 with the 133.3.
Josh will start P11 in the AlphaTauri, AJ Kaneko in P12 in his Aston Martin. Logan Court his first F1 win, I believe, of the season. 13 is HMS fan 9YT, Ayrton James 14th, Corey Julio in the first Mercedes in 15th, and the Greg just walked away from me.
Alright, on we go. Shanghai GP, ARC F1 2023, 1000th event in the ARC F1 history. The first ARC event, of course, Monday, May 30th, 2016, the ARC IndyCar Championship at Brno International Circuit on Project Cars 1. This event was won, of course, as I'm sure all of you remember, by Nathaniel Cherry of Shift Esports. P2 was Kobe Dellis of Infinity Sim, and Jackson Glenn Austin taking P3, also of Infinity Sim. 2016, 7 years of ARC events, and this is the 1000th. So congratulations to all those that have stuck around long enough to see the 1000th event and are still here keeping it going. Alright, on to the race we go. Shanghai, 5.4 kilometers or 3.4 mile track located in the Jiading district of Shanghai, China. It's a classic Tilkedrome that debuted in 2004, the same year that we also saw the Bahrain GP debut to the F1 calendar. The circuit features a unique design that incorporates elements of traditional Chinese architecture, including a main grandstand that resembles the shape of a pagoda. The track itself is a mix of long straights, tight hairpin turns, sweeping corners, which provide a challenging test for drivers and their machines. Should make for some interesting racing for both drivers and fans alike. Racing here is always as much fun as a spectator sport as it is the motorsport itself racing. Some great overtaking opportunities on this track.
Yeah, the one thing I think we are going to see today is definitely the tire wear management, because from past Formula One games, the tires get absolutely eaten up at this racetrack, so tire management is going to be key in order to winning this race.
Management, of course. This will be, I think, in terms of strategy-focused races, I think this will be the most strategy-focused race that we've seen thus far in the ARC F1 calendar. Teams will be really relying upon the hold back and hold your tires strategy, as we do have a spin on the formation lap. Looks like Liam Angelo has had a bit of a moment warming up those hard tires from P1. He will draw back a little bit. Will retake his position as the formation lap continues, though. As we see the predicted pit stop strategy, we're seeing it predicted to be a medium to hard compound strategy mostly, or medium to soft if you're feeling risky. However, we're seeing a lot of the front runners starting on hard compound, so it seems that a lot of these teams came in with their own mindset and their own game plan.
And it looks like Matthew Stotts has already been disqualified from formation lap. Why? We're not sure, but you're not disqualified from the race, so that's a plus.
Will be interesting to see once everybody else manages to come back around what that situation is. However, interestingly enough, Oriyoshi of the Red Bull is leading the formation lap from P3. It seems that there has been incidents involving both Liam and Bear in P2 in the Alpine. He's going rather slowly in the middle of the pack at the moment.
Yeah, I'm guessing he got loose in one of the corners at some point from burning up the tires.
Seems interesting, as it does appear that he is also on the hard tires that Liam also seemed to have a bit of a incident with on the formation lap. Maybe just some trouble with the top two warming them up. No trouble at all as we line up. Into the starting positions we go. Eat That Bear will climb his way up back into P2 as Liam retakes P1.
And 5 red lights
on.
And there they go. We are off at China.
It is Liam with the good getaway as Eat That Bear files in behind him. Not much of a chance to make a move going into turn 1. Jamie Knock just sitting back also in P3. Oh! Big incident involving Boriyoshi. It could just be lag that I'm seeing right now. It may not be as big of an incident as we're showing.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
We apologize. It is surely some lag going on there.
Major lag.
Just strange all around. I apologize for any weirdness that may have come across your screen for me spectating that moment. However, as we see, Jamie Knock does take P3 from Boriyoshi on that first sector. Liam and Eat That Bear sort of pulling away a little, already building over half a second lead to Jamie Knock in P3.
Yeah, same thing with Liam Angelo Garage. Oh, big spin!
It is a big spin from Matt Daly in the Aston Martin. Oh, to the back of the field he goes.
Looks like he did not lose a wing or any tires, so he should be able to continue
into the third sector, and already a 1 second gap between the top two as we see it at the moment. Jamie Knock close on P3, Oriyoshi in the Red Bull. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer does get taken by Andrew Davis on that corner, who does come back on Andrew Davis. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer currently in P5. The fight continues. Andrew Davis looking for the outside going into the first corner, coming down the main straight. Does not have enough run to make it stick. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer will hold P5 going into turn 1.
And I just have a quick little update on Matt Daly. He did not receive any damage following that incident, so he will be able to continue but he's got a lot of ground to make up.
A lot of ground to make up. Thankfully, though, did choose to start on the medium tires, may put him at some type of advantage over those hard tire runners as these laps start to go on in his first stint. Only time will tell. Already the gap between P2 and P3, 1.3 seconds. Eat that bear, and Liam just building that lead out over Boryoshi and Jamie Knock. As Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, still P5, looks to pick up the scraps of that fight.
Yeah, this is something I expected out of the top two, starting in the earlier stages of the race, trying to spread out as much as they can so that they can just focus on the road ahead.
Clean air, of course, is the best air. These drivers will be looking for any opportunity they can to just be racing their own race and avoiding the fight when necessary.
And Jonathan Jurgen, I don't know what his last name is, he goes up to P4, passing Jamie Knock.
Makes a great move on Jamie. For the moment, holds that P4 position.
But get ready, boys. DRS is now enabled. And Matt Daly sets the fastest lap, with a 1:36.
On those mediums, as expected, does take the fastest lap away from Liam, who is running on the hard tires, as is the other top two runner. It is Boryoshi on the mediums in P3. The first out of the top three that is not running hards.
Yeah, only 7 drivers chose the hard tires. Everyone else chose the mediums, so gonna be an interesting pit strategy coming from those 7 drivers that did the hard tires.
Over the last single lap, the lead between P2 and P3, already up to 2 seconds. A 1 second gap over the previous lap. It is Eat That Bear and Liam just pulling away from the field, it seems.
And I'm gonna go on board with Jurg here as he is the first to use DRS to try and pass Yoshi, but he is too far back.
No moves down the rest of the field, although we do see Fabian up into P13 over teammate Sean Costley. Fellow McLaren driver.
Spin for Omnicron as he gets tapped in the back by Matt Daly.
Does have a bit of a moment. On hard tires, he will now be chasing the field and hoping for the best. As it is, Logan Cool
No
up
damage
into
as well.
P17. Makes a move over the Red Bull of Luke Allen, who's looking to make a move right back on him, as he has Matt Daly fighting him on the inside, also for P18. It will be Luke Allen pulling away.
Yeah, Logan Cool won't keep that position for long. He's used most of his battery already, being on the aggressive strategy, so he's gonna get passed back real quick. Oh, spin
with
up
a big spin ahead of him by HMS Fan. Oh, and down into P19 he goes on the medium tires. Likely has seen some extra wear on them because of the incident. Not good for him.
Luckily, he was able to save the car from being dragged into the wall. And is that Gallen stopped?
It was Luke Allen stopped on the side as he lets HMS and Omicron pass. Probably had an incident of his own and didn't want to cause any disruption to the passing drivers, but did see him just parked up on the side for the moment as we see TST Tyler has himself a big moment. He's into the wall. Back onto the track, into P20, and wow, the bottom quarter of the grid at the moment just having major issues.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if Tyler has a loose wing.
It looks like he has lost the end plate on the right side. That may be affecting some of his aero to the extent that his lap time will start to recede.
Yep, he's going into pit road right now.
He will be pitting to replace that front wing, presumably missing the end plate. Unfortunate for Tyler. Following back along as Liam has crept up back into P3, currently sitting 4/10 behind Boriyoshi in P2, who himself is about 1.9 seconds behind Eat That Bear, currently in first. The lead just slowly building for that Alpine. Another big moment, it seems, for Omicron.
Yep, 2-car pile of Omicron and HMS fan trying to get back on there. It's going a little slow.
Seems to be just getting in each other's way. Minor incident. We continue.
There we go.
HMS fan having it himself another incident, it seems.
Look out, we got loose in that same exact spot again.
Following back along with Liam coming down the main straight, looking to make the move on Boriyoshi. Does make the move on the inside, manages to make it stick. Great move up into P2 goes Liam.
But yeah, we were so focused on the back half of the field, I don't even know what happened to the front half.
Just a lot of silly stuff early on. Hopefully it's just, you know, these drivers are getting it out of their system, and the longer the race goes on, the better the quality will be as they start to shape up, but only time will tell. Following along currently with Liam in P2, has shortened the lead to P1 Eat That Bear to 1.2 seconds. It was all the way up to about 1.92 seconds on Boriyoshi at the moment. But Liam did make the pass on Boriyoshi, currently finds himself P2 and is chipping away at that lead that Eat That Bear has burned himself.
Yep, and I believe Liam just got the DRS detection zone activated, so he will be getting DRS. Yep, there he goes. He's on the energy. Here he comes for the DRS.
Full deploy is Liam down. Back stretch coming into turn 14. Not quite enough. Closing the gap very tightly though. Already half a second closer than he was in sector 2 of the previous lap.
As he sets the fastest lap, and we got a crash in the back. Trying to see who that is.
It does look like it's Jamie Knott.
Oh, Jamie Knott.
Yes. Down to P13 he goes on those hard tires. As Logan Cool does pick up a 3-second penalty for track limits.
Looks like he was involved with possibly the 2 McLarens and a Mercedes, but then again, Ayrton James was going into pit road, so maybe a miscommunication there on going into the pits.
Quiet race thus far from the Aston Martin of AJ Knickel, aka Unleaded, currently finding himself P8. I'm sure he'll be aiming for a top 5 as the rest of this race progresses, but so far just quietly picking his way up.
Yeah, as long as he can stay quiet about spinning or anything and being aware of his surroundings, I think he'll get up into the top 5, maybe even the podium if he's lucky. Meanwhile, oh boy, look at this. Liam Angelo trying to make a pass.
He did close the gap by quite a margin, but not quite enough to be able to make the full pass. However, he is right on the tail of that Alpine ahead of him, looking to make the move, probably going into Sector 2.
He might be able to get him with the DRS on the backstretch.
Both front runners running those hard tires and to this amount, or to this extent, probably could be assumed that they've run him to the same amount of wear. So we're seeing a pretty even battle here between Eat That Bear and Liam Carey. Should be fun one.
HMS fan receiving the 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings on the same track. And there is a spin.
The spin will be Matt Stotts of the Ferrari, it looks like. Down to P14 he goes.
Yep, and he made up a lot of ground too.
Quiet race as well from Josh Bowditch, currently sitting P6 in the AlphaTauri. Now he's a racer who has seen a lot of incidents just derail his weekends time and again so far this season. A lot of early retirements that he probably wasn't expecting and wasn't hoping for. To see him up into P6 so far is a welcome sight, I'm sure, for him. His highest racing position coming into this race, I believe, was P8 at last week's GP. So good racing thus far from Josh, currently P6.
Larry Julio also receiving a time penalty. Receiving this dog in there
For multiple track warnings. So that is 3 on the tally mark so far with time penalties. Meanwhile, this battle still rages on between Eat That Bear and Liam Angelo Carrag. I think this is going to be an exciting one, especially when they make pit stops.
Indeed, it does. It looks like Liam clearly has the better pace through the first sector, but Eat That Bear might have him through the second sector, and because of that, it's just a very back and forth battle thus far, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. The third sector that they're both coming into at the moment will I guess be the deciding sector as far as their lap times go, to see which one of them can make up enough time on the other to make the pass. Liam is right on the tail of that Alpine once again, looking for the inside move, not quite enough pace to make it stick this time around.
as the AlphaTauri of HMS set the fastest lap. And it looks like Liam had bad corner exit there, so he lost a couple tenths.
Be your best. Oh, I forgot. You weren't listening to me. Oh.
Yeah, your mic was still on there, Alex.
Sorry for that. Following back along with Liam. 3 tenths behind Eat That Bear still. Lead down as low as a tenth and a half. Really right on the tail on that last lap. Does seem to have let off a bit. Oh, as he looks for the inside move. Coming into turn 14. He does have the inside line. Can he make it stick? The switcheroo may be coming for him. Not quite. Eat That Bear will relent the position to Liam Carrick, who does find himself now leading the 2023 ARC F1 Chinese Grand Prix. Already building out also a half-second lead on Eat That Bear in P2. Maybe just did not have the grip to make the fight happen. However, we will see that Eat That Bear does have quite a bit more battery charge than Liam, so maybe making to make a move back on him in this following lap.
Meanwhile, Matt Daly and Team Aston Martin coming into the pits along with Jamie Knott and Team Alfa Romeo.
We are seeing those first round of pit runs go. These strategies kind of kind of starting to separate at the moment. We're seeing who's choosing what.
Let's see, Matt Daly went to the hards.
And Jamie Knott going to the mediums.
Jamie Knott
as
going
he also
onto
fixes
those
his
fresh.
wing damage too.
Fresh mediums it is for the Alfa Romeo, and it looks like it will be hards for Matt Daly, mediums for the Alfa Romeo of Jamie Knott. We did see the AlphaTauri of HMS Van Ducken 3 laps ago for mediums as well. TST Tyler with an early incident spun and put himself onto mediums 6 laps ago, probably looking for a change in strategy for better results. Everybody else, though, holds fast on the tires that they started on.
Yeah, Liam Angelo made him.
Perfect execution on that move last lap. And now he's half a second ahead. And it looks like his pit window has opened, so it's only a matter of time when they come into the pits.
And it could be easily assumed that the fighting between these top two would cause the gap to P3 to shrink by a margin, but it seems it has only grown as they have been leapfrogging each other with the DRS. The gap already up to 2.5 seconds to Boryoshi of the Red Bull in P3 at the moment.
Yeah, I was teammates with Liam Angelo Karak, I believe, last season of F1. And I know his pace, and he can definitely put on a big pace on those hard tires.
So similar to tonight, there was an open seat for the first Grand Prix of the 2023 season, and Liam happened to substitute. He put his hand up as a possible fill-in, and he entered the Alfa Romeo and just absolutely smoked everybody at Bahrain. He won by a wide margin the first race of this season a few weeks ago, and this is his first GP back on the grid since then, and is once again smoking the competition.
Well, not as much as last time, because Eat That Bear is still keeping pace with him, but Bahrain is his favorite track, so that's where his domination comes from. And ooh, a lot of cars coming in.
Boryoshi's in, Jurg is in, Andrew Davis is in, and AJ Kaneko is in.
Looks like they are in on this 13th lap. We'll see what compounds they choose to go to.
Looks like they're all going to hards.
It will be a hards for all of them. Be mindful that these are all drivers that did start this Grand Prix on medium tires, all 4 of which now going to hards.
Meanwhile, the top 6 still on all 12 laps of their first tires.
Jake Scarborough quietly moving himself up into P4 on those 12-lap-old medium tires. May not be looking for the win today, but with his current racing, he's definitely looking for a top 5, and I'd be surprised if he did not manage to hold the position he's currently racing, with that gap to Fabian behind him, currently 9 seconds.
Noah Sanford and the Williams, aka Omicron, moving up to P14, and
Josh and Scarborough are right now. Josh going to medium.
Josh to mediums, it looks like.
I'm sorry, to the hards. Josh to the hards.
Yes. Scarborough also to the hards.
And wow, this may sound interesting. Fabian is now up to 3rd in this McLaren.
Fabian, interestingly enough, finds himself on a provisional podium position halfway through the Chinese Grand Prix. On those old hards, he will be coming in soon enough himself, but that racing position that he's managed to hold for himself thus far in the GP is definitely respectable.
Yeah, I think Stas will be coming in next as he just had a slide there. Meanwhile, up at the front, Liam Angelo's still holding on. And I think it's time for the mid-race report. Brought to you by DIVEBOMB in their 1000th race. What do you say there, Alex?
Sounds good to me.
So, main story so far, after 14 laps, Angelo Carrag and Eat That Bear still battling for that first place position. Fabian Green in the last spot on the podium, meanwhile everybody else has made their pit stops.
Story of the night so far has certainly been the reserve drivers versus the regulars, I'd say. The top two currently are the reserves that we've come to expect every once in a while. However, Fabian Green has run every GP of this season and has not finished higher than P7. Looking at a P3 at the moment. Boryoshi as well has found himself on the podium before, but is not usually up as high as he finds himself now. Just as far as regular racing goes, takes a bit of luck for him to see himself this high. Also, currently P4, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, previous winner, currently P5, maybe looking to get himself higher. But also Josh Bowditch, P6 in the AlphaTauri, highest racing position as mentioned. P8 earlier this season, currently P6 and has held that position for quite a few laps as he moves up into P5 over Jurgen.
And I hate to interrupt here, Alex, but we had just received our first DNF from Matthew Stotts, who retires into the pit road after 14 laps.
He has put in half a GP, but was not able to stick out the second half. Matt Stotts, we respect you. We thank you for your effort. First DNF of the night, P20 for the Ferrari.
Which is amazing. I'm surprised we've gone this long without DNFs until now, so that is definitely a first with full grid.
Interesting that the battle between Liam Angelo in P1 and Eat That Bear in the Alpine P2 has really kind of gone from a full boil to just a bit of a simmer. It seems that Eat That Bear is holding a bit back, saving some tire, not quite taking the fight to P1 as we were seeing in the first few laps that Liam did manage to take the position from him. Just kind of hanging back, probably waiting for his moment.
Yes, they are now the only two drivers that have not made their pit stops yet. Everyone else has made their pit stops or is coming in now, as Fabian and Logan Poole were the last two to come in.
Logan Poole onto hard tires. Fabian down to P10 on those mediums will be racing as the highest medium compound runner at the moment.
As the top two still stretching their hard tires, I'm surprised they are going this far long into the stint. I think this is something out of the ordinary that we're seeing from these two drivers. Maybe they have a trick up their sleeve that we don't know about. We'll find out once they come into the pits and see what they do. And HMS fan is all over the place at this point.
Looks like another incident in Sector 2 for him, as we see the gap between AJ Knechel P8 and Andrew Davis P7 shrinking quite rapidly. AJ could be looking to make a move on him coming into the next few corners. That whole DRS train all the way up from Moriyoshi down to AJ Knechel, really just sticking tight, staying pat, holding ground at the moment, just keeping each other together.
I see that there just misjudged the last corner, and he has lost a lot of time now to Liam.
He has that gap up to 1.1 second. One of the few corners previous, now up to 1.2 at the moment.
Yeah, and it looks like much of the field is pretty much spread out at this point, so not a bunch of action going on, but between 3rd and 8th, they still are close together. Oh, and here we go, they're finally in.
It is Liam coming in. Eat That Bear is out on the track at the moment. He does not come in. He will race out another lap, and it will be Liam with the undercut on him potentially. Liam onto the medium tires. In P2, however, looking much stronger at the moment than Eat That Bear currently with his strategy in the Alpine. Time will tell, but wow, just very interesting all around.
Yeah, and it looks like he did not lose any positions in that pit stop. So if he gets past Eat That Bear, I think Liam is pretty much the winner in this case. As we're waiting to see what the gap is between 1st and 2nd.
Just a very interesting call by the Alpine of Eat That Bear to stay out on the last lap. Maybe did not know that his competitor was coming in on that lap, so may have gotten hung out a bit. But it does look like Liam has successfully performed the undercut, as the gap has gone down by about 1.5 seconds since the time since he's exited pit. That gap, of course, being, or that time lost of the gap, of course, being much less than the gap itself was between those two drivers going into this pit maneuver. And it's really opened the door for Liam here, as he does cross back into 1st place provisionally, with quite a gap to Eat That Bear of the Alpine behind him exiting pit on the medium tires. Wow, and it will be Eat That Bear on the back foot, racing to catch Liam for the rest of the race, it looks like.
The only thing that could probably ruin Liam's race now is if a safety car comes out.
A safety car, of course, a blue flag, a back marker, causing any type of issue to him. Just anything that is out of his control is the only thing that can ruin his race. Everything in his control is going his way. We are, however, still seeing quite a tight fight for the final podium position. That P3 spot of Boriyoshi looking very juicy to the 4 drivers or so behind him, from P3 to P7 down to AJ Knickel and P7 in the Aston Martin. All of them very much so within striking distance of that P3 spot. Just sticking right together in that DRS train that was mentioned a few laps ago.
As Liam sets the fastest lap, he's basically got this race in his control now.
It seems so. Of course, with full confidence in himself, he will be just praying that everybody else manages to keep things clean, knowing full well that he has this to the end of the race as long as everybody else also has this.
I think the only thing he's praying for right now is not for a safety car to come out, because he knows once that happens, his race is screwed.
Well, that's where him praying for everybody else comes into play. He knows that he himself can finish this race given the position, but he needs everybody else to also just hold tight and finish where they are as well. That 5-car DRS train from P3 down to P7, though, just very interesting coming into these final laps of the Grand Prix. I'm sure we're going to see some action come from the likes of AJ Knickel in P7, Jake Scarborough in P6. There's sure to be some type of shakeup, as we do see a bit of pull. The AlphaTauri of Josh has managed to pull over half a second to Jake Scarborough behind him. The largest gap in that train that we've seen thus far.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch, see what happens from 3rd to 7th. Then only Fabian is 2 seconds behind them, so...
He may, I mean, Fabian is in the best position of all to pick up the scraps of any trouble that they may have with each other up ahead of him. Fabian, of course, currently finding himself P7 in the driver's standings. A solid points haul from, say, a P7 spot in this finish would put him up into P6, nearly P5 it looks like. So he'll be looking to hold firm with his position and pick up whatever spots ahead of him he can manage. If he can get himself into this DRS train ahead of him, he'll be in a great position. Not quite on this corner for Fabian as we go back to the front. And it's Liam pulling out quite the gap on Eat That Bear of the Alpine. Already up to over 4.5 seconds. And this is just autopilot at this point for him.
Basically cruise control.
With about 5.5 laps to go, he, as mentioned plenty enough, the only thing that can derail his race is somebody else's incident and not his own. So he'll be looking to hold firm with his spot. We'll follow back along if that gap between him and Eat That Bear manages to change by any margin, but at the moment it doesn't seem that it really is. Boriyoshi, P3, still about 10-11 seconds behind those top two, so not much of a chance to be fighting for those positions. However, the front car of this DRS train, he will be looking to hold his position with his life on those hard tires. And lucky for him, it seems that the closest car behind on the medium tires will be Fabian, still the front runner of the medium tire runners. With the compound advantage, I'd be hoping to see Fabian making up at least 2 positions on this DRS train. Maybe more if he can manage it, being that he is on the faster compound.
We have another DNF on the track, HMS fan.
It will be HMS fan. Did manage to put in a decent amount of time this Grand Prix, but may have had an incident that was one too many. We thank you for your time.
And it looks like they cleared it before the leader got through, so it will still race. And wow, Liam just put on a huge gap between Eat That Bear. This race is basically over.
It seems that it is. Maybe Eat That Bear may have anticipated the yellow. Seems to have let up quite a bit because the gap between him and Liam is now about the equivalent as it was between him and Boriyoshi previously. So he is the car that was slow for whatever reason in that situation, as it is now his gap to Bear. Boriyoshi, all of a sudden, 3 seconds behind, maybe in a grand position to be fighting for that P2 spot. But with him, of course, comes everybody else in that DRS train that he's pulling along, all the way down to Fabian at this point in P8, who has managed to find himself in the back of that DRS train. Matt Daly creeping up on the back of it as well. This will be an interesting battle coming into the final 4 laps or so. All the way from P3 Boriyoshi down to P9 of Matt Daly. Everybody just single file. Matt Daly, if he can manage to get to the back of that pack ahead of him within the next lap or so, he may have a good run on maybe a top 5 position. However, of course, being a DRS train, it'll all come down to so many factors that have not come into play yet that only time will tell, and we'll have to wait and see. But for the moment, it is fun. It is exciting, the prospect of what may happen. However, what is actually happening is just kind of business as usual thus far. The gap between P1 and P2, Eat That Bear, not shrinking at all. In fact, growing by nearly half a second since we last checked up on it. So, it's fair to assume at this point that Liam Angelo has this one quite a bit in the bag. It's his race to lose, and we'll see the rest of it, and we'll see how it plays out and what may happen to his position. But at the moment, Eat That Bear, chasing from P2, is only at this point looking to hold his position. Working with low battery, was using a lot to defend from Liam in those early stages of the race, and it may have cost him dearly here, especially with that false yellow flag that we saw a few laps ago. It seems that he did slow down in anticipation of an incident being called, but there didn't end up being one, so he only ended up hurting himself for it. 2.5 laps to go now for the leader.
Yeah, Matt Daly is not catching up to that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 car train, so he might be out.
It seems he will, yes. He will be missing out on some positions here, probably. It was probably within the last lap or so that he would have had to catch that pack to have much of a real shot. But It seems that the gap between him and Fabian is only growing as they are chaining DRS off of each other, and Matt Daly is missing out. So rather unfortunate, but the battle from P3 to P8 continues. It will for the next 3 laps or so, and it'll be a lot of fun. Following along now with Fabian. As we look up the line of this DRS train, it looks like they're all playing rather conservative. Nobody really stepping out on each other, except for Jake Scarborough making the move on the outside on Josh, who's had a moment. He's slow going into turn 1 down to P8. The train continues without him. He does have AJ on his inside, manages to stick him, does hold P7 for the moment. But AJ's licking his chops, he sees the imperfections in Josh's corner, and he's looking to pounce on it. Josh just with a bit of an incident going into turn 1 on the previous lap.
Now, the one person that benefited from that, Fabian Green.
It is Fabian up all the way around both Josh and AJ. Wow. From P8 up into P6, he finds himself, and in a decent position also to be fighting for that P5 maybe come the end of the race. Yellow flags out in Sector 3 on the 27th lap at the moment.
For Jamie Mark. As he will get back going. And Liam Angela on the back straight now, getting ready to start the final lap of this 1000th Auto Racing Connected race.
Onto the front stretch he goes and crosses the line for the final lap of the 1000 ARC event, coming to a back marker at the moment. Makes no trouble of it, cruises right around as we follow along now, possibly the fight for P3 between Jonathan Jurgensmeyer and Boryoshi, as Jonathan Jurgensmeyer looks to make the move around the outside. Going into turn 1, he does make it stick. He has a whole lap to hold the position now.
Oh, and Scarborough goes around. Fabian goes up to 5th.
It is Jake Scarborough with the incident. Josh also off track into P8. Jake Scarborough P9. Oh, and I cannot assume either one of those drivers is very happy right now. Fabian up into P5. He's a bit far back to be fighting for P4 or P3. However, those two positions themselves, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer and Boryoshi, great fight between them, it seems, coming through Sector 2 at the moment. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer with the great move on Boryoshi on the outside of turn 1. Has so far made it stick through the first sector and a half of the lap. Oh, and wow, what a race for Jonathan Jurgensmeyer if he can manage to make this stick for the final podium position.
Meanwhile, Liam Angela Karag in his
It is
second race
Liam
this
around
season.
the final corner, across the line, and he will take his second W of the 2023 ARC Formula 1 season. Liam Angelo Karag with the win. This time not in the Alfa Romeo, however, in the Williams. Eat that bear across the line in P2 of the Alpine. Another reserve driver. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer does manage to hold his position over Boryoshi for the final podium position, P3. Boryoshi taking P4 as Fabian crosses the line in his McLaren, holding P5. Matt Daly not quite enough to hit the end of the DRS train in the final few laps, however, does manage to stick it out for a P6. Teammate AJ Knickel right behind him in P7. Jake Scarborough with the spin on the final lap. Oh, he was hoping for so much more, but does manage to hold a P8. Very respectable. Andrew Davis, the other Alpine, in P9. Quiet race for him, but into the points. Can never hope for anything but that. Josh Bowditch of the AlphaTauri finishing P10. Disappointing, I'm sure. Highest racing position of the season up into P6 for most of the race. Has an incident on the second to last lap. Finds himself P10. Still manages to score a point. Blurry Julio manages to secure a P11 in his second Grand Prix of the season in the Mercedes. Respectable and also quiet race for him. Sean Costley, the final McLaren on the grid, does take P13 also. And wow, as expected, a fun and exciting Chinese Grand Prix. Thank you all for following along with us tonight. And, of course, if you've got the time, make sure you tune in for the ARC iRacing series later on in the night.
And the driver of the day will go to Fabian Green, his first driver of the day for the season. And also an excellent drive from Fabian, so he definitely deserved that driver of the day.
Well deserved, I'd agree. Just stayed consistent throughout the Grand Prix, held his position firm. As we see Liam with the due celebrations. Eat that, bear. Second podium position. And Jonathan Jurgensmeyer taking the P3 from Boriyoshi in the final stages of the race as we look down the list. Jamie Knock ending up in P14 after a few incidents, rather disappointing for him. Sean Costley, as mentioned, P12 in the McLaren. Omicron in his ARC debut for F1 finishes P13 in the Williams. The first retiree of the night, of course, was Matt Stotts taking P20. HMS Fan in the AlphaTauri taking P19. Logan Cool P18 in the Mercedes. And Luke Allen P17 in the Red Bull. As mentioned, Ayrton James in P16 in the Alfa Romeo. TST Tyler, the other Ferrari. Disappointing night for the Ferraris as he takes P15. And Jamie Knock P14 in the Alfa Romeo. Well, folks, we thank you so much for tuning in for the 1000th ARC event. Man, it's been crazy, you know. 7 years of events, 7 years of racing, and still going strong. It's been real. As mentioned, if you have the time, make sure you tune in for the ARC iRacing series later on in the night. Should be starting in about 35 minutes from now. Well, I'm your host, Alex Fox, signing off. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.